Greetings everyone. In this video I'll talk about something to do with inflation and how to, from my perspective, preserve some value and do the best of it. And that's from my perspective. It's no economical or financial advice. So it's a nasty subject in a sense, and it's worldwide. It's not something that's happening in a far off country or just in your country. It's happening everywhere. So I'm choosing that in this lovely setting. I'm on a hill which I climbed up to. Pretty good, nice climb to do. While it's still not that much vegetation because there's a lots of small animals in the rocks and all that. So inflation is hitting hard everywhere. It is mostly caused by the shutdowns of the last 2 years because of, you know what, it's accelerated by the Russian invasion of Ukraine. But there's a bigger agenda here, because the economical collapse is always by design, and people like you and me will be kind of the losers, and people in the top will be the winners. People in the know, people who are running for the agenda or designing the agenda. Now, the best thing, in my opinion, from my perspective, is property. That is land, housing, apartments, cottages, anything according to your own possibility to pay and take care of. Now, that's something you can use, you can rent, you can learn a lot by having that. And yes, I'm in the midst of acquiring something. So that's from my perspective. It was something that I planned to do anyway, or we. But yeah, you need to kind of be quick about it, because there will come a time when the value of money is decreasing too much, and the prices are in relation to that value of money will be too much. So when the value of money is going down, prices will kind of seem to be rising. And there's a moment there which is kind of the last call if you want to do some big purchase, investment, or something like that. And that goes to other kind of assets too, which I can't think of, because the ones I'm interested in are land and small housing and stuff. Then we have gold and silver, which is always promoted as the keeper and storing value. It is hard to deal with. You have to have a place to hide it. You have to have it in a certain shape and form which will be practical, and it might be unusable in the actual situation, depending on how it will be, depending on where you are and how all of this plays out. In war situations, having gold is quite dangerous. You are prone to robbery, and also in crisis, having gold and silver is not always the best thing. Property is better in that case, because there's always a documentation somewhere with your signature that you kind of own that place. From my own experience, property ownership survives war. Possessions like golden spoons and gold and silver do not always do that. And the third thing is crypto. And which crypto? Well, of course, privacy by default crypto. If you're not already into that, I won't be like talking about it, because that's a subject which let's put it this way. I've met so many computer people who are like, I'm good at computers, but there are people who work full time with like programming and designing and this and that, and they haven't even stepped into crypto. They don't even understand what it is, how it works. They still think like Bitcoin is this sort of super digital anonymous money. And there's a big market coming up for crypto sooner or later. It has been a recent surge in the value of Monero, of course, because it's private by default and privacy coins. But that's an important thing to know about, especially if you have children, to educate them, to not let them be illiterate when it comes to those online money and online store of value. It's very important, and there are those people who don't understand any of it. They just go, oh, it's rubbish, I've read this, I've heard that, and what if the electricity goes? Well, actually nothing happens. When it's back on, you just back on to the blockchain, and if the electricity goes forever, for all time, forever, from any given moment, well, I think a lot of else will just go too. So there are those people who are not looking for it, and those who just don't want to look into it because they rather kind of shove it aside than to realize it's actually part of the future. So those are my main things I we focus on. It's property and electronical stores of value, electronical value. Now, electronical value can be anything. It can be domains, sites, projects, information. Information is very important to back up important literature, documentaries, and all that. I mean, I got a whole system going up with that. So, in regards to necessities, which is the most important, you have to eat and drink something. This will depend on what country, what region you live in. If you live in a high trust kind of part of the world, part of your country, you will do good. If you live in some of these, dystopian, multi this, multi that cities in the USA or any other country, it won't be that nice. It will be bad. Depending if it hits, if it comes, what happens, of course. But the worst situation will not hit all of places at the same time, in the same way. So keep that in mind. Everything depends on where you are and where you live. As you can see, I'm kind of in a place where I have not a lot of people around me, and it makes me feel safe, and I feel there's a kind of like a general high trust vibe to my area. We'll see, but that's my take on it. So those were my thoughts. Some people really doom panic and think they will save up the right stuff for the right crisis, but the right crisis is always something that surprises us. We can't prepare for it. That's all. Take care.